All right. Hello, everyone. First of all, I need to say a big thanks to Gugu Degu, who became a new patron. So thank you, Gugu Degu, for supporting the channel. And for anyone new, I basically will be going through this game and doing my best to explain the Japanese words and grammar that are used throughout it. If you're new to the channel, I've already done the 3D Zeldas up to this point. I've done Wind Waker, Majora's Mask, and Ocarina of Time. And I've done some other games. I did Mario 64, GoldenEye 007, and I've also done Banjo-Kazooie, kind of. But the text dump document is a bit lacking. It's unfinished for Banjo-Kazooie. And yeah, as I said, I just mentioned the text dump document. I do tend to dump all of the text into a document which will be linked in the description. Along with that, you can find contact email for lessons if you're interested, and also a link to the Patreon if you would like to support. But yeah, if you can't support in that way, then please remember to like if you like the video. That apparently helps a lot. I haven't personally experienced that, but I hear a lot of YouTubers saying that that's the best way to help out, so I guess it is. I don't know, but yeah, please like if you like this content. All right, next, so we're starting off with tabi, meaning trip, and kiroku, which is basically record, and no in the middle, just linking those two nouns together. So we have like journey, record, and then we have erande, which is the te form of the verb erabu. Erabu meaning to choose or to select. And we have the te form of that with kudasai at the end, which is very common. The kudasai basically just adds a please. It's kind of a polite way of asking. So it's like please select. And the o here, this o marks what we are doing the verb to. So the verb is to choose. What are we choosing? Well, we are choosing whatever this follows. In this case, the tabi no kiroku, the journey record. And yeah, here we have atarashi tabi no kiroku desu. So atarashi is an adjective meaning new or new. I don't know how you want to pronounce that. It's probably easier for me to say new, to be honest. So new tabi, new journey. Kiroku, which is obviously, as we saw above, a new journey's record, and then des is kind of a declarative. It's sort of polite, so it's just like it's sort of saying it's kind of. You can kind of translate it as it's a new journey's record. And down at the bottom we have kette. This one usually read as ketsu. And this one usually read, well, I say usually, this one read as te in this case. But together, to make it kind of easier to say, there's this phenomenon in Japanese where you exchange some sort of mora, I suppose you could say. Some hiragana get changed into a small tsu. So instead of saying ketsu te, you just say kette, which means basically to decide. I think they kind of both do, actually. This one kind of means to decide, and this one kind of means to like determine, to set. So it's like decide and set kind of thing combined together, or just to decide. Kette. Yeah, okay, so we'll do that. And here we have namae nyuryoku. Namae being just like one's name. I think it tends to refer to one's first name. So you might have like first name, and then nyuryoku for some reason means input. I don't know why. This one means to enter, and this one means power. But somehow together they combine to mean input. So we have name input. And of course these characters here are hiragana. And let's get to it. These characters here, as you can probably read, are katakana. These are katakana. Then we have eigo, meaning basically UK language. This character kind of stands in for the UK quite a lot. The kind of official sort of kanji for the UK is E Koku, meaning kind of literally meaning hero kingdom. But I suppose it's kind of lost that, you know, in that word it doesn't really mean that. E just kind of means of the UK, related to the UK. So E go meaning language, so it's just English. Language of the UK, or language, you know, English basically. And there of course we have Romaji, which we are going to use. Down at the bottom we have Kuriya written next to B. Kuriya meaning clear, as in to erase or to clear the letters. Oh, and if you clear them all, apparently we get Modoru, meaning to go back or to return. And we still have Kette there in A. So, maturely, I'm going to stick to tradition and name myself Omae, which is a kind of nowadays kind of a rude pronoun meaning you. So everyone throughout the whole game is going to be referring to us in a rude way, which amuses me. And of course, end is end. Okay, and now we have Uma no namae nyuryoku. So same as before, name input, and Uma is just horse. What should we call our horse? I did have... What should we call him? Her. What should we call her? We could just go with a Pona, couldn't we? Yeah, should we just go with a Pona? Is that boring? I don't know what we could try. I might try this. Oh no, I don't know. Well, I don't know. I can't really commit to capital letters. Your horse. How about your horse? Your horse. Your horse is. Should we go with a Pona or horse? Oh, I've gone back. Let's just do a Pona, shall we? Let's just do a Pona in English. Letters. Epona. I wonder why it's Epona. There we have some information. I'm not interested in that. Okay, I guess we're going to be seeing this a lot. Tsugi e. So e there meaning like towards, and tsugi meaning next. So towards next, or advance to the next kind of thing. Next, basically. And here we have, I need to turn this off. I'll turn this off as soon as I can, but this is furigana, which tells you how to pronounce the kanji, which I don't want. Well, not all the time. I'm sure I'll need it sometimes, but once it's off, I probably won't be putting it back on. But yugure, essentially just meaning dusk, or, you know, the setting of the sun. You there meaning kind of evening, night. And this verb is usually kuderu, and that's when the sun goes down. That's for the sun to set, for it to get dark, etc. But in this case, we've only kind of got the stem of it, yugure. So we've taken off the last ru, and it's just become kind of kure. But it's been affected. The first word of the whole game, and it's got all this explanation to it. The pronunciation has been affected to make it easier to say. Rather than being kure, it's become gure, yugure. And usually, well, sometimes when you only have the stem of the verb, which we get in this case by, like I said, removing the ru, sometimes it makes the verb into a noun. And it kind of has here, I think. So, yugure is just dusk. And then otozureru is to kind of to visit. Maybe to come and visit. Or perhaps in this case to come near, to draw near, to get close. And then to here is kind of a conditional. It's kind of like if or when dusk I suppose approaches. Doko to naku. I don't know if this is referring to us. Doko tonaku. I think it might mean somewhere within you, like in kind of like somewhere that you can't identify, but somewhere within you, maybe. There's another word that's similar, which is nantonaku. And nantonaku means like, for some reason, for some unidentifiable reason, for some unexplainable reason. It's kind of like that. And doko tonaku, I wonder if it just kind of means, somewhere unidentifiable, maybe within oneself. But yeah, doko tonaku, sabishiku naranai ka. The dictionary form of this adjective is sabishi, which often gets translated as like lonely, which I suppose it can mean, but learning it as meaning lonely, I feel like actually leads to more misunderstandings than it does understandings. I prefer to think of this adjective as meaning like lacking, although I suppose it does, in this case it probably does mean lonely. But yes, like lacking in the sense that something is missing, and maybe that's why it doubles up as lonely. When you're lonely, it's like human, well, not human, like intimate relations are kind of, lacking. It's sort of like that, I suppose. So yeah, the dictionary form is sabishi, but with all e adjectives, that's adjectives that end with an e usually. You can change the final e into a ku, like has happened here, and that makes it into kind of an adverb, which I don't really feel is going on here, actually. The verb after it is naru, and naru means to become, and basically if you put naru on the end of a ku adjective, it means to become what that adjective means. So, to become lonely, or to become, to get the feeling that something is lacking. But as you may have read, this doesn't even say naru. This says naranai, which is the negative. So from naru, we get naranai, which is negative. So it's sort of like asking, do not you become kind of lonely somewhere within you when, I suppose, dusk approaches. And the cut at the end is basically just a questionifier, just questionizes the statement. You don't need it really, but he's decided to say it. それはな, I guess I'll read it all actually first. あの世とこの世がこの時だけ交わることができ yeah, okay, let's start at the beginning, sorry. それは, so それ referring to what he just mentioned, as in that feeling of kind of becoming maybe lonely or a bit maybe unsupported, a bit lacking, a bit vulnerable maybe. それは, so referring to that phenomenon. And then the na here, the na is, it's basically like right. Like, if you were setting something up in English, for example, you might say, just as an example, you might say, at work, right, there's this guy, blah, 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 right? You said right in there, but right doesn't really mean anything. It's just kind of inviting, I don't know, it's kind of inviting... It's just inviting, I suppose. And at work, right, there's blah, 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 blah. It's kind of like that. Sore wa na. It's kind of like that right in English. Sore wa na. That thing, right? Blah, 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 blah. The rest of the information. Ano yo. Ano meaning that, in kind of a distant way, that. And yo meaning world. So that world. To meaning and. Kono yo, this world. So that world and this world. Ga is just a particle. We won't worry too much about that. Kono toki dake. This time only. Majiwaru. Majiwaru is like to... maybe intersect, to mix, to mingle, to kind of mingle together. So majiwaru, and then this sort of set phrase at the end, koto ga dekiru, means essentially just to be able to do, like can mingle. You just put it after a verb, and it means can do that verb. But as you may have noticed, I said koto ga dekiru, and there isn't a ru at the end, because again, he's taken the ru off, so he can use the stem. And what the stem's doing here is just allowing the sentence to continue on. He's got more information to say. What he's saying isn't finished yet. So he's used the stem so that he can continue his sentence in the next text box, I think. So それはな、あの世とこの世がこの時だけ交わることができ、that feeling, that world and this world, this time only, can mingle or intersect or mix together. いまだこの世に未練を持つ愉快の者たちの思いがそうさせるんだそうだ. Okay, I need a second with this, I think. Imada, basically meaning not yet or still. Imada. Kono yo ni, so to this world or in this world, perhaps. Ni is essentially your preposition. It's kind of your only preposition. Kind of. It's your preposition particle anyway. Yeah, it's very common. So it covers quite a lot of bases, let's say. So probably in this world, miren or motsu. Miren, I believe, is kind of like just like kind of regrets, maybe. Let me just check. I'm fairly sure it's that. Oh, yeah, kind of. Regret, attachment, lingering affection. But yeah, miren o motsu, yukai no monotachi. Oh my gosh, no omoi ga. Okay, wow. Sou saserun da souda. I don't know what the ending is here. Anyway, we've got a lot of no's and modifying verbs and linking and stuff. So, miren o motsu yukai no monotachi no omoi ga. So I think we've got omoi here, which is the stem of the verb omo, meaning to think. So omoi would be the noun of that, so thoughts, basically. The thoughts of the monotachi, which is just kind of, mono is people and tachi is kind of a pluralizer. So it's kind of the thoughts of the people of the yukai, which seems to mean something like spirit world or ghost world. And then we have motsu, to possess or to have. So what's being possessed is the miren, which was regrets or reluctance or attachment or whatever. And then, yeah, kono yo ni, so to this world. So something like the thoughts of the people of the spirit world who... Hold on, motsu yukai no monotachi. Yeah. Yeah, who have regrets in this world, maybe. But then we have sou saserun da souda. Oh, okay. I think this is referring right back to when he said sore wa na. So he was talking about what makes you kind of feel that loneliness. And now he's saying so saseru. I think he's saying that it's the thoughts of the people of the spirit world who are causing that to happen. Saseru is causative of suru, which just means that they are kind of, I suppose those people are causing others to have thoughts. They are causing others to do these thoughts, to have these thoughts, or to have this feeling, to feel this feeling. And then unda is essentially just explanatory language. He's just explaining something to us, so it's kind of got un in there. And then soda is essentially kind of unconfirmed information. He's heard that this is the case. It seems as though. this is the case. He has heard it somewhere. He hasn't confirmed it for himself. He's not sure of it, but he has heard it. And so he's put so da at the end. Yeah, okay, something like that. だから、黄昏時は寂しくもあり、そして切ないんだとさ。だから probably just meaning like that's why, or perhaps just the word so, and then a sort of a reason or whatever, or yeah, something like that. Tassogare is twilight, I believe. That's just the word for twilight in Japanese. Tassogare. And then doki, just time, but read as doki this time instead of toki, just to make it easier to say. So tassogare doki, so the time of twilight. Wa, bringing it up as the topic. Sabishiku mo ari. I guess it just means like sabishiku mo ari. Well, the mo is kind of saying, I guess it's allowing there to be more feelings or something. It's like there exists loneliness. Let's go with loneliness for the definition for this. So there exists loneliness, or sabishiku mo ari, or is it just for one to be lonely? And then the mo allows further emotions, maybe further information to also happen. Sabishiku mo ari, soshite, kind of then, or from that, or there, or also, or in addition maybe, setsunai dato sa. Okay, yeah, so I think possibly he's saying the twilight time is kind of lonely, and in addition, setsunai, which I have seen many times. Painful, heart-rending, trying, miserable, suffocating, oppressive, just... Yeah, I guess the best one there maybe is heart-rending. Setsunain datosa. So we have this unda again, kind of explanatory language. Just he's telling us, right? He's telling us information, so he's saying unda. He's explaining stuff. Setsunain datosa. And the to there, I might suggest, is possibly the quotation particle. Possibly suggesting that people say this, or that people think this about the twilight time. But I don't know. The to with no verb suggests he's omitting what the verb is. Or he's certainly shortening what he's saying, I think. Datosa. And because he's omitted it, I'm not sure what he's omitted. Don't worry about the sa, that's just kind of just a vibe changer. I wouldn't worry about that. And now he's just saying like, nah, omae. Kind of just, hey, omae, which is our name in this case. Ore wa asatte sonchou no tsukai de hairaru oke ni shinamono o todoke ni ikun da ga. So ore wa, this is just kind of a masculine sort of pronoun meaning I. And then wa, obviously the topic marker again, so I, talking about me. Asatte, well, these aren't read as asatte, these are the kanji that represent the word asatte, but yeah, they don't really, individually they don't really have these readings, but together they are pronounced asatte, meaning the day after tomorrow, in 2 days' time. Soncho, this one meaning village, and this one meaning sort of leader, the highest ranking member of a party or something. So Soncho is just going to be the village leader, the village chief, the mayor maybe, the leader of the village, Soncho. Not sky de. De here meaning like kind of as. And sky is the stem of the verb tskau, meaning to use. So sky is kind of a messenger, I think, usually. It's as a messenger, or maybe representative or assistant or attendant of the village boss, the village chief. So as a representative, I suppose, Sky. I suppose you could see it as maybe the village boss is using him for something. but so as use, as being used by the soncho, as a servant, maybe, basically, just as a server of the village elder. Hairaru oke ni. Hairaru is just high rule. Oke is royal family, literally king and then family, basically, in this case. Royal king family, sorry, Hairaru, king family. So the high rule royal family. Ni, I guess 2 in this case. Shinamono, just meaning like a product, some kind of produce. O todoke, this is the verb todokeru, meaning to deliver. But what he's done is he's done this very common grammatical form, which is to use the stem of the verb and then ni and then a direction particle. So usually either to go or to come. In this case, to go, iku is to go. So I will go to deliver a product or something, you know, something to the royal family. But as I said, this often gets used with either iku or kuru, to go or come to do something. So he is going to deliver this product. And then unda ga. So we kind of got explanatory language again, unda. And then we have ga at the end, meaning kind of but or possibly softening. But I think in this case, it means but. Omae, that's not our name this time because it's written in, you know, Japanese rather than Romaji. So he's actually referring to us with the pronoun omae, you. So omae, ore no kawari ni itte minai ka. So ore no kawari ni, basically instead of me. I suppose you could see it as in my stead, instead of me. And then we have the te form of iku, which is itte. That's an exception verb. Most ku verbs don't conjugate in this way, but iku is a exception for te form and past tense. So this is kind of a special conjugation, but it becomes itte, and then at the end he's put midu, which is put at the end of te form verbs to mean to try doing something out of kind of an experiment. It's like to try doing something and see, you know, what the experience is like, essentially. But as you may have read already, he hasn't said midu, he's said minai. He's used the negative because he's sort of saying, will not you go? Will not you try going instead of me? And then cut at the end for that questionizer. And here we have, again, as I said, this is a unique conjugation. Itta. Most ku verbs do not conjugate in this way. Well, no other ku verbs conjugate in this way. Only iku. But this has become itta koto naindaro. And this is very common. You've basically got a past tense verb, in this case itta, and then koto, and then either, well, aru, usually. Aru would means that there exists the phenomenon of went, very literally. But it's just saying, it's just talking about experiences. Itta koto aru means I have been at some point. I have had the experience of going. In this case, he's used the negative, so he said itta koto nai. There does not exist the phenomenon of went, or, you know, you haven't been before. And then undaro, just duro is like have you, basically. And then the kind of inquisitive language. So whereas it's explanatory when it's a statement, it's inquisitive when it's in a question. So he's saying naindaro, and he's kind of inquiring a bit more than without the But yeah, I don't know, you don't need to worry too much about it really. But he's saying, yeah, you haven't been before, have you? Which is pretty nuts, because how old is Link in this game? You'd think he would have gone to, well, all around the world by now, probably. Hairaru no okoku ni wa rippana shiro ga atte, jouka no machi wa kono mura yori haruka ni dekkai nda. Okay, so I guess we'll start here. While here, bringing up the topic of what is at the Haidaru no Okoku. Yeah, Haidaru no Okoku. I guess this doesn't count as Hyrule Kingdom then, where we are? Is this separate? So yeah, he's kind of saying at the Haidaru Okoku, the Hyrule King country or kingdom. Lippana shiro ga atte. That's the te form of the verb aru, meaning to exist. Which in this case just allows the sentence to continue. So he's got more information to say. He's not finished yet, so he's not going to say aru and then just continue. He's going to use the te form, which just allows the sentence additional information to follow it. So lippana shiro ga atte, there exists. Lippa is obviously a na adjective because we have na here modifying the noun that follows it. And lippa is kind of splendid, fancy, fantastic, grand perhaps. But yeah, lippa na shiro. Shiro is castle. So a grand castle, a splendid castle, a fine castle exists. And Joka no machi wa, so Joka is literally, ka here meaning below or down or beneath. And Jo there, the other reading. Obviously these kanji are the same, so it's the other reading for castle. So Joka, so the below castle town, the town that sits below the castle. Machi there meaning town, right? And then wa, so this is the new topic. Now we're talking about the town. So yeah, the town that sits below the castle. Kono mura yori. Yori is kind of like than, essentially. Than this village. Haruka ni, basically meaning very much so. To a great extent. And then dekkai just means like massive, huge, large. Although, yeah, no, you don't usually need this small tsu. I think he's just done that to make it sound kind of bigger, maybe. The actual official word, I think, is just dekai. But he's put a small tsu in. Dekai, which just makes it sound a bit stronger, I guess. And dekainda. So again, we've got this explanatory language. Dekainda. そして神の作った世界はもっとな。So そして maybe then kind of maybe after that. So we have our village here, which is a certain size or whatever, and then we have obviously the Hyrule Kingdom, which he was just talking about, which is way bigger than this village. And now he's saying, and then, the world. Sekai is world, or another word for world. We've seen about 3 different words for world so far in this intro scene. But yeah, Sekai is a word for world. And Kami is gods. Or god. God or gods. It stands for both. And Tsukuru, in its base verb, in its base form, is to make. They've used no here. You could use ga, I think. They've used no. It doesn't really change anything. But it's just the world. This word world is being modified by this information. So it's the world that the gods made. The world the gods made. And then motto, meaning more so. And then motto again, I guess, just for further emphasis. It's like the worlds the god made is bigger. Bigger, even bigger. It's more, way more kind of vibe. And then na, just kind of a rhetorical agreement seeking thing, like kind of a at the end. So then, after the Hyrule Kingdom, then after that, the world the gods made is, additionally, furthermore large, it's way bigger. Sono me de ichido mite kuru to ii. Sono, kind of those. Sono kind of refers to what the listener's surroundings and the listener's possessions and the listener's, things to do with the listener, because it means like that. So sono. Sono me is eyes. So those eyes, basically, your eyes, those eyes, and then de with or using or maybe via those eyes. Ichido, one time. Mite, to look. And we have mite kuru, which is kind of to look and then come back. Mite kuru, you know, to go, to look, and then to come. And then to I guess is just saying... I think this is just a way of telling you to do something. Mite kuru toi. It's sort of saying it is advisable maybe, or you should, you know, come having looked one time with those eyes. You should see the world for yourself with your own eyes. At least once. Soro soro mura ni modoru ka. So soro soro basically meaning before long. Usually it kind of means, I found it tends to mean kind of like now. Like literally within like the minute, within a minute, within 2 minutes. It's just kind of like, shall I... Yeah, I don't know. It seems to be very sudden. He's, you know, because he's obviously standing up as he says it, right? So soro soro mura ni. So before long to the village, and then modoru, to go back, to return. And then cut that questionizer again. Sonchou ni wa ore kara hanashite oku yo. Sonchou ni wa, so kind of to the village boss. Ore kara, from I, or from me, of course. Hanashite oku. Now this oku grammar is kind of hard to explain because we don't really have it in English. It's very common in Japanese, but it kind of means that you will do something. It follows the te form of a verb, in this case hanasu. The verb hanasu is to talk or to have a discussion or whatever. So hanashite oku means to kind of have a discussion for when it's needed in the future. Is, I think, hopefully how I will translate that from now on. Putting oku on the end just means, you know, I will do it for when it is required for the future. So I'll do it so that we don't have to when we need it, you know. It's just very common. Hanashite oku, I will talk so that that's just done. And then we can, you know, proceed without problem when we need to in future. It's kind of like that, for in preparation for when it's needed in the future. And then yo is just kind of a vibe changer thing. It just kind of adds a bit of force here, maybe. He's just kind of insisting that he will do so. So yeah, I will discuss with the mayor, or the village chief, so that's just done, and then when you need to leave, you know, I will have already done that, so you won't need to ask for permission at the time or anything like that. It's me. I turned the volume of my emulator down a bit, and now it seems really quiet. The game seemed really loud to start with. Okay, so here we have oi, which is just, you know, basically yelling oi. It's no different, really. So he's just calling out, and then omae, that's our name, and then iru ka, iru meaning to exist or to be present somewhere. So yeah, just iru ka, like obviously he's not asking do you exist, he's asking are you present, are you there, iru ka. Yeah, simple as that really. Warui n dakedo yagi oi o tetsudatte kurenai ka. Warui meaning to be bad, or I suppose to be rude, or to be yeah, kind of rude maybe. It's like he's saying well, and then dakedo or undakedo kind of meaning like, you know, however or but, you know, it's bad, he's aware, I'm aware that it's bad, it's poor manners, it's not good of me, but and then yagi is just, you know, goats, I guess in this case. Yagi, mountain sheep, that's quite funny, isn't it? Mountain sheep, yagi. Oi o tetsudao. Yeah, tetsudao. Let's just go with tetsudao for now. So oi is, well, o is the verb meaning to chase or to pursue. So oi again is the stem here, making it into a noun. So the chasing of the goats, and then tetsudao is to help. But he's gone with the te form, tetsudatte, and then this is very common after the te form of a verb to say kureru, or any of its conjugations, which kind of means for me. Tetsudatte kureru, it's like will you help for me, will you help me? And you have the opposite as well, where you could sort of say tetsudatte ageru, which is to help someone else. It's kind of, you have this kind of downwards motion for things that are done for you, because everyone kind of does things downwardly to your lower than their status. You are lower than them in status, so they do things downwardly for you. Whereas when you do things for others, you do them ageru, you do them upwardsly to them of higher status. So it's kind of become this grammatical thing where anything done for you is done kureru, for you, and anything you do for anyone else is done ageru, is done upwardsly. It doesn't necessarily indicate actual like status, but it's just a grammatical thing that they have in the language. So tetsudatte kurenai, meaning kind of will not you help me? Yeah, will not you help for me with the chasing of the goats, or, you know, will you help, please help me with the goats, sort of thing. And then ka, that questionizer again. Aitsura saikin ore no yu koto kikanai n da yo. Aitsura, aitsu is kind of rude. I mean, it doesn't matter in this case because they're goats, right? It doesn't, they're not going to get their feelings hurt. But you know, aitsu, it means like those. It's, I don't know. It's just kind of a bit aitsu, those guys, those. I don't know how to translate it into English, but it's just, it's a bit dismissive. It's not very considerate to refer to people as aitsu or koitsu or soitsu or, you know, whatever else you want. Aitsu, and then ra is just a kind of a pluralizer, so they, those guys, those things. Saikin essentially just meaning recently, so they recently. Ore no yu koto, the things I say. Essentially, yeah, the things I say. And then kikanai, from the verb kiku, meaning to listen, but this is of course the negative, so from kiku it becomes kikanai, so they do not listen. And then undayo, again, just kind of explanatory language, so they don't listen to what I say recently. Are epona wa? So are, just kind of an exclamation of surprise. Are, like huh? And then epona wa, just bringing epona up as the topic, and implied within that is, you know, like doko iru, like where is she? You know, what happened with her? You know, that's very common in Japanese, just to use the topic marker when you want to know something, and just kind of leave it there. All right. That's probably long enough for part one, right? This doesn't look as good in this game, does it? I usually run in a circle at the end of parts, but it looks like it's a bit glitchy on this game. Anyway, yeah, that's part one then. Things will speed up. If you're new to the channel, I will speed up explanations. I need to make sure I kind of cover everything. I need to assume that people haven't watched the other series, the other games that I've covered. So I need to assume that new viewers are only going to watch this series. So I need to go over the same grammar in the same detail, like every time I start a new game. But if you're new, I will kind of speed up with explanations. Hopefully it will get to a point where I will just be saying what the words mean in order, and glossing over things much more quickly. But yeah, anyway, that's part one. Thanks for watching. Like if you want, don't if you don't. Sub if you want, don't if you don't. Support if you want, don't if you don't. Thanks to my patrons, and I will catch you next time.